The meeting's now being live streamed, Ian.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to welcome to the meeting. Welcome to the single members decision. We've got one speaker, Councillor Kandaka, who's online with us. And we've got Kevin Hollis, who's going to present the report. So I'm going to hand over to yourself, Kevin, and then I'm going to bring Councillor Kandaka in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. My name is Kevin Hollis, Director of Leisure, Recreation and Health, and I'm going to summarise the report for the Sandon Park Recreation Ground lease agreement for Ambleside Junior Football Club. The purpose of this report is to recommend approval of a long-term peppercorn rent lease and football pitch agreement to Ambleside Junior Football Club for Sandon Park Recreation Ground, Wennington, Nuneaton. The background to the report is Ambleside JFC Junior Football Club originally wrote to the Borough Council in 2016-17 asking if we could support with some grass playing pitches due to the size of the club and their growth, and required some support going forwards because they were struggling to maintain football pitch facilities for their 20, now 25 plus teams for the local Nuneaton and Bedworth area. In 2017-18, a review of football pitches took place, and the Sandon Park was identified as a site that we could relocate all football hub sites to Paulsland. Sandon was only being used by one football club, one team, one pitch on a 4-pitch location at that time. As a consequence, further work has been undertaken with Ambleside JFC over the 18-19 seasons, and they've been using that site, managing it themselves, opening up and closing the pavilion to support their use of junior football. But this has worked really well, and they've been working with the football club, the senior football club that previously used the site at the same time. Liaison was undertaken at that time with the ward councillors to allow the senior men's football club to continue, and that partnership has continued with Ambleside and themselves, with a view to them looking in the forward that the junior team then, following the youth team, move into that senior football team. So that's worked really well. The current situation is that the pavilion on site, the Jack Whetstone site, hasn't been used over the past several years apart from the single football team, and additional work needed to be undertaken at the site to support junior football. Ambleside Junior Football Club have been instrumental in undertaking work themselves, cleaning, painting, refreshing, and we've also undertaken some work through Section 106 and modernised that facility for use by Ambleside, which again has worked really well with the club and the adult team that's there as well. We have to be careful in terms of safeguarding that adults and juniors don't meet, and that's been managed by the club. Ambleside, as I said, have over 25, 30 plus teams and support young people from the Weddington St Nick area, and a really progressive team that's well known with the Birmingham County FA and have got accredited youth status as part of the club. They've been successful with some Birmingham County Football Association funding and have undertaken some additional work on the grass pitches there to improve them through pitch improvement funding. And they now have the opportunity to be supported with grant funding to enable them to look to maintain those grass pitches with their own equipment, supplementing the pitch quality and improving those for football delivery. In the council's Delivering Our Future, one of the actions and looking at in terms of the themes is to look and work with clubs in terms of self-management and how we can improve the council's assets through external funding. And this certainly has been one of those sites that's helped working externally with partners. As part of the agreement to have any funding towards equipment and moving forward, Ambleside require a lease stroke license football pitch agreement for them to apply for the funding. To summarise, this report is seeking the portfolio holder to review the options that I've discussed and provide Ambleside Junior Football Club with a 30-year peppercorn rent lease for the pavilion, the Jack Whetstone Pavilion, would be a lease, because we would be able to give them sole use of that facility, and a football pitch stroke license agreement for the use of the grass pitches, because we could not give them sole use because it's public open space. We provide supporting agreement to cover the cost of the utility charges for the first 2 years. If the lease was granted to junior football, the Ambleside Junior Football Club, they would be expending all their funds to support the grounds maintenance equipment, and consequently would really struggle for the utility costs for the first couple of years. So they've asked if we could continue to support them over the first 2 seasons with utility costs. The recommendation 7.1, 7.12, 7.13 is that the council do not provide a long-term lease and a peppercorn rent, and 7.14 is the council doesn't support the agreement to support the utility costs, which would have an impact on the club going forward. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Okay then, Keith, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. I'm going to start the clock. So whenever you're ready, mate.
Thank you very much. I obviously got involved in this when the senior club was trying to maintain playing there, and it's really good that they have this option to still play there. It's really good that we're getting these pitches used, and I had a discussion with Kevin earlier in the week, and he's thankfully put a map on the back as an addendum, and that's really important because there's obviously a conflict between the needs of the club and the other needs of the community. So having a map, we can clearly identify which bits of football land and which bits we can actually have the public walking across, and desire lines for future, hopefully measured miles and cycling routes. So it's really important we actually have everyone working together, and a map and a diagram and a lease is really important, so we understand where everyone goes and what they do. We have some concerns obviously about the wildlife and the corridor, the River Anchor. And there was some concerns in the community about the potential poisoning or baiting of animals, and so it needs to be important that this all the clubs, the football clubs and the rugby clubs in the Wenton area, know actually the pest control is explicitly something that the clubs do not have any right over doing. I think that's a difficult issue, but I think it needs to be pointed out. I have actually requested just to see the lease before it's signed, just to see what issues are in there. I'm generally very supportive about this. It's absolutely great we've got this going on, but it is also important we sort of cross the I's and dot the T's, particularly because of the wildlife use of the area near the river, and potential uses of the area for a cycle route going through. We've got 200,000 from the Section 106 applications. That money is sitting in the bank account, and hopefully the Borough Council can use that to actually improve the footpaths across there as well, to form a cycle route. So I say that the outstanding things are just checking the lease, making sure we're happy with it, making sure that there's no pest control stuff that will affect the wildlife, and yeah, it's really good that Kevin mentioned this is public open space and people like the Gurkhas use it for their annual fun run. So yes, it's just making sure everyone can work together. I'm very pleased we're actually making progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith. As has been said, Ambleside Junior Football Club have been going a number of years. They've got a lot of experience with junior teams, and as has been said, up to 30 young junior football teams under their wing. Under the lease agreement, you've just been talking about the lease agreement. The actual pavilion is going to be leased, but the actual pitches are going to be licensed. So it will be crystal clear that the council are the organisation for pest control and not the football clubs. So I think, that's already been taken account of. I hear what Councillor Kondaka has said about the public use. Now we've got the actual Sandon Park pitch layout. that's been put forward. We can see exactly where those pitches are. You can see exactly where the walkways are for people using the area. You know, we accept it's not a sole, the area is not sole use. It's the pitches that are the use for the club. We've referenced the recommendations. I am going to recommend that Ambleside do have the 30-year peppercorn rent in 7.1, and the council does provide support for the first 2 years in 7.2. And obviously they do get the pitch agreement and the lease of the pavilion, because I think that's very important, because not only is this an experienced club that deals with many young people all the way across the borough, it also has the opportunity of get funding that we can't get as a council to improve that area. They have a very good track record, so I have no qualms about agreeing 7.1 and 7.2, and that'd be my recommendation that we move forward. We've referenced the lease. Once the lease has been drawn up, if you can let me have a copy before it's signed, then you know, I'll have a once over of it, obviously. I've got no problem giving a copy of the lease to Councillor Kandaka as the ward councillor and the other ward councillor to have a look at, but it'll be on officers. It'll be officers to determine what goes in and what doesn't go in the lease, obviously in consultation with myself. So I'm recommending 7.1 and 7.2 that we move forward, and we do take a lease on, give them a lease on the pavilion and a license on the pitches, along with the first 2 years assistance. I think that's it. Anything else to say, Kevin?
No, that's it. Thank you, Ian. I've got Kelly, so the decision notice will type up, and then we'll get you put your signature on that as the formal decision. Is that right, Kelly?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've already got my signature for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I have, yeah.
Okay, well, can I end the live streaming, please?